Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the North American Railcar Corporation's how-to video on its high-performance Magnalock brake lines. We're going to go over a few tools and supplies we need for this project. Of course, we'll need one package of our high-performance Magnalock brake lines, a rail car to install them on, a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of non-magnetic tweezers, a pair of sharp scissors, an assortment of jeweler's screwdrivers depending on the type of car you're working on, gel super glue, toothpicks, sharp razor blade, one black Sharpie, one pair of rail nippers or side cutters, some acrylic model paint to match the color of the car you're going to be working on, one ruler. It doesn't have to be metal, but if the numbers go right to the edge of it like this one, it will make your life easier later on. You'll need some scrap cardboard from, let's say, a cereal box. You need a few strips 3/4 of an inch wide and a couple 2-inch squares. And finally, a pair of safety glasses. Okay, let's now take the rail car out of its box and we could get started. Now we got the car out of its box, we'll have to take off the trucks, this little air hose here, and we'll have to nip off the trip pin off the KD coupler. You could leave it on the car, you could take it off to do this. I'm going to take it off. Now we'll just cut off the trip pin. Make sure you're wearing your safety glasses for this. We can reinstall the coupler now. Now we're going to make an air line that leads to the air hose, which the air hose will be attached to later. So grab your aluminum wire that came with your kit, and we'll need to make a 90-degree bend about 1/4 of an inch from the end of this piece of wire. Like so. Now we need to cut the piece of wire we just bent to length. So we'll just put it up against the side of the coupler box here, trying to keep it flush with the end of the coupler box, and mark it. And we'll just cut it off with our side cutters here. Like so. We're going to use our gel super glue. I'm just going to put a tiny bit just along the bottom edge here. And then we'll take our airline. And You want to make sure you keep it flush to the end of the coupler box. Just like so. And we're going to set this aside to set. As the gel glue is setting on our car, it's a good time to make a few jigs. The first jig we're going to make is a jig to help us cut the air hose to the proper length. Here are the pieces of the cardboard that we need to make that jig. The 2x2 inch piece of cardboard we had from earlier, and a 2-inch piece cut from one of the strips also. So all you have to do is take a couple dabs of gel glue, like that, and glue it to that piece. And there you go, that's one jig done. This next jig has two uses. It helps hold and align the air hose properly when you're gluing it to the car, and that's what the groove in there is for. The second use is as a spacer to keep the air hose a certain height off the rail, so when the car is going down the tracks, it won't hit any grade crossings or any rails on your turnouts. This next jig I'm going to show you how to assemble is going to be designed to work with RP25 wheels or alike. They like a 1/16 of an inch for a spacer. If you have any of the wheel sets that have a deep flange to them, you'll need to adjust the thickness of this jig to compensate for the height difference. Here we have 5 pieces of cardboard. The particular cardboard that I use, I need 3 layers of the cardboard to make a 1/16 of an inch thick spacer. And also the 2 3/4 inch pieces of cardboard for the stops, and these are just roughly, you don't have to be precise on cutting them. Depending on the type of cardboard that you have, you may need more layers or less layers, but for now this is the type of cardboard that I have, so this is what I'm going to use. First we're going to glue the 3 2-inch strips of cardboard together first. And all we need is just 2 very small dabs of glue here to hold it together. Alright, that part is done. Now we're going to glue the 2 3/4 inch pieces onto it next. Okay, now to make the groove the right size, you're going to use some of the actual air hoses and just place them one on either side. Like that. Then grab your other piece of cardboard. Put a little dab of glue on there. I'm just using this pair of tweezers here so you could see what I'm doing. When you're gluing this last piece of cardboard down, you want to make sure the groove isn't too tight. You want the magnets to be able to just easily slip into it. There you go. And then once you do that, you can take the air hoses off. There, that jig is done. The glue should be set up enough for us to continue working on this car. As you can see here, the coupler box cover is thick, so all we need to do is trim off the airline flush with the bottom of the coupler box cover. On some cars, the coupler box cover is thin, just like a thin piece of metal, but we got to make sure that the airline sticks below the bottom of the coupler shank 1/16 of an inch. So all the cars all look right and function properly. Let's go ahead and cut the airline flush with the bottom of the coupler box now. And there you go. And now what we need to do is install the trucks back on the car. Now you don't have to screw them all the way on, just enough to hold them on, because we'll be taking them off later to paint the airline. We're going to prep our air hoses now, so grab the jig we just made. We need to cut the air hoses the total length of 3/8 of an inch long. To do this, we're going to grab our ruler, place it up against the stop, and using a razor blade, mark it exactly at 3/8 of an inch. And it's important to be accurate at this point of the game. So just like that. Now if I could show you here, you could just see the mark there. So now you take your air hose, place it on there, hold it down with one of your fingers against the stop, and then just cut it with your razor knife. There you go, a perfect cut. And set that aside. We're ready to install the air hose onto the car now. We have a weight at the other end of the car so it doesn't roll away on us. Bring out the second jig that we made. The groove of the jig should be lined up with the air line that we installed, and angle it towards the center of the coupler, like so. Okay, now grab an air hose that you cut to length in your non-magnetic tweezers. As you can see here, there's a red dot on one side of the air hose magnet. You got to make sure that is always facing up when you glue it to the car, or the air hoses won't couple properly together. So what we do now is just add just a tiny bit of glue. Just enough to stick it on, just like so. And make sure the red dot is facing up again. And there it is. Now, it's a good idea just to leave it alone for, let's say, half an hour or so to make sure the glue is really set up nicely. And then I would probably go over it with the toothpick with just a tiny bit more glue, just to fill in any gaps and just make it a little bit stronger. So that's perfect. It's lined up with the center of the car. So there you go. One whole air hose installed. Okay, I let the glue set for at least 45 minutes. And now we'll paint the airline here to match the color of the car. And we'll take a black Sharpie and color the magnet here. I just finished painting the airline leading to the air hose to match the color of the car. I also took a felt pen and colored the magnet black. And all we have to do is just reattach the truck. And there you go. One end of the car done. All you have to do is repeat the same process on the other side of the car, and it's just that easy. So thank you for purchasing our product and hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Bye bye.